peoples, what's up? My name is Jason and I'm from the Shelf Stories YouTube channel. And I'm here in the Dice Tower today to review Crazy Cultists. Crazy Cultists is a card game for 3 to 6 players, designed by Jordan Davenport and published by Rocket House Games. It is a competitive card game of the fast take that variety. You are going to be playing a cultist. You are going to try to summon your elder god with your card play by playing favor on yourself, and you're also going to be trying to prevent your opponent from doing the same with your hijinks cards. So let me go ahead and show you how it plays. Without further ado, let's go to the videotape. Welcome to a game of Crazy Cultists, fully laid out. I have a 3-player game laid out. The game goes up to 6. It's a very simple, competitive card playing game. Most of the cards are going to be centered around this idea of favor points. 1, 2, 3, or 4. On your turn, you're going to play one of these cards. And if you're playing a favor card, you're going to play it in your personal stack. So then I'm going to play that 4. I'm going to draw a card, pass turn. At that core, it's that simple of a game. And then you're going to go around and around. Eventually, you are going to play enough cards to reach 10. 10 is the number, the threshold on your personal altar over here. Once you reach 10 points, you will put a candle over there to indicate that you have earned a little bit of favor from the old god. And then you would discard these and move on. The next favor pile you would make is 9, 8, 7. The first player to achieve this 6 is going to be the winner of the game. I bet you thought it was going to be easy, didn't you? It is not going to be easy at all. Okay, so let's say this player is playing. I'm going to play that favor over here. This player is going to go. They're going to play a 3 over here. Now, this player wants to cause some hijinks. This is a standard set of hijinks cards, 1, 2, or 3. What these cards do is they allow you to discard other players' favor cards. So let's say I wanted to play this over here. They would discard this card. They would both go away. Does not matter the value. This one takes away 1 card. So if they're aiming for 3s and 4s, that would be pretty devastating. However, the players are not without defensive resources. Let's say this situation happened again. They're going to try to discard a card. This person whips out Counterspell. Counterspell would be a card that kind of takes away the negative card, canceling things out. You can counterspell a counterspell. Go all around. That is the idea of the game. That is not the only thing that Crazy Cultist offers you. You can get specialized cards, play that, skip your next turn, or somebody skips their next turn. Be able to manipulate card draw with a Nerdronomicon. Discard 2 cards at the same value from a favor stack. Toiling Trouble. That's a terrible card if you're aiming for 3s and 4s. A lot of different hijinks cards, a lot of different screwage of the neighbor as you desperately try to fill your favor stacks. And when you do that, you will be summoning an old god and win the game. So that was Crazy Cultists at the table. Normally, I would talk about the thematic headspace that the game puts you in, but really there's not too much. I think that Crazy Cultists offers more of a motif than a theme. I think this is designed to, grab your attention on a shelf, walking into a game store. Ooh, cultist. And also provide fodder for a little bit of light role playing. I'm summoning the elder god, making silly voices. The one thing I will say is I think it's safe enough to play with kids. A kid's not even going to know if they don't need to know what's going on here. So, perfectly innocuous, theme. You're here for mechanisms. And I think the mechanisms, the way that plays out, the way you're going to experience them, are going to shift a bit depending on player count. As you know, these take that games are very highly dependent on player count and who's at the table and how familiar you are with each other. So just know all that going in. So at a low player count, I don't think that this game quite shines the way it's supposed to. So you have you're playing your favor and that's fine, but then you want choice and decision about how you play your hijinks cards. And when you're at a low player count, there's really not too much decision. Okay, am I going to, you're going to get it this time, you're going to get it that time. And it's just kind of, I don't think the game really realizes itself until you're at that kind of higher player count. And I'm going to be very careful there because maybe at 3 players, this is perfect for your group, and it's something that you can get into. It's not like it's bad. It works perfectly fine. It's just I think the game realizes itself at a higher player count. We're talking 4 or 5 and even 6. Because that's where you get into hijinks and you get into the real choices on who you're going to mess over. And you could do like that kind of group dynamic thing, right? Where some players may be just like, hurling the fireballs at each other and doing the metagame thing. I'm going to hold that against you and doing whatever. And then a player can, a quieter player can kind of sit back and say, I'm just going to quietly build my favor over here. And all of a sudden, oh man, they have 3 they have 3 fire things done, and we're just gonna now we have to go after that person. So you can really kind of like let your personality, I feel, shine through at a higher player count. Also, it does kind of reward observation of the cards, because you want to be able to see if a person might be giving a tell for a counter spell. So let's say they might be holding something back, and it's like, okay, they're really going up ahead, but I think that person has a counter spell in their hand, so I'm gonna let somebody else take care of that. They play their counter spell, and then I'm gonna go in and do their thing. There's room for that, and I think there's more room for that at a higher player count. And I think that's where the game shines. A couple of difficulties that I had with this game, like a lot of take that games, and Munchkin being kind of the paradigm one at the highest player count, it can take a long time. There's a lot more favor than there is the actual taking things away cards, but there's a lot of taking things away cards. And you definitely have that kind of like, dog pile problem, where it's like if someone gets 2 ahead, they're the ones that are going to get chopped down. So it kind of has that natural effect of the games kind of just take a long time at that higher player count. We're talking maybe 30 plus minutes. And I think, when you're getting into that 20, 30 plus minute range, you might be there for a little bit longer than you want to for a game like this. And especially this game, which is my second issue that I noted here, was the game doesn't really change mode. It's the same game at the beginning and it's the same game at the end. So if you compare it to a game like Munchkin, it bogs down, believe me. But at the very least with Munchkin, you start off kind of a weenie and you don't have anything in front of you. But at the end of it, you have your duck of your duck on the top of your head, and you have this. And you have curses, you have weapons, you have steeds in the later expansion. You have all these things that you have that make at least feel different. You're playing a different game. In Crazy Cultist, you're playing the same game. And I know they reduced the scoring threshold, so like it's easier to kind of get a quick strike and the win. I didn't feel like that was enough to kind of get that sense of momentum, that sense of that I'm playing in a different phase now. This isn't just 30 minutes of the same thing. I think of another game in this genre called Red Dragon Inn. Red Dragon Inn, I think, suffers from the same issue where it's like I'm not really doing too much different. The advantage of Red Dragon Inn is that there's a lot of characters, and you can play different characters, change up your play style as you're getting into the different characters. This is a very low-cost game. It's a very small package, so it probably can't fit that level of variety in there. But I wanted to highlight the issue because, will this game, does this game offer something different than some of those other more classic, well-regarded and well-known games? I think in this particular case, it's very highly dependent on what the players bring. If you have a group that yucks it up, if you have a group that loves take that, if you have a group that doesn't want that higher overhead of a Munchkin or a Red Dragon, and you want like a simpler version, kind of like between Munchkin and Uno. I think that's exactly where this game is going to sit. So not as much going on over there, but Uno is very streamlined, and there's only a couple of ways to mess with your character. So Crazy Cultist sits right there, and I can only imagine the designer saying, "I want something right in between these two games." And there it is. So for me personally, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. It's a decent game. I think it is dependent on group, and I think that the more the players are willing to kind of put into this game, the better it's going to be in terms of an experience for you. I was a little bit disappointed that the higher player count seemed to drag on a little bit. I felt like, at the 20-minute section, I'm like, okay, are we good here? Can we chop off a couple of candles over here? And there are rules to play like a shorter game. There's rules to play a more vicious game. There are lots of variants in the rule book, but for the core experience, it dragged on a little bit much for me. But again, this game might be your fun if you're especially if you're looking for something right in the middle between a Munchkin or a Red Dragon Inn and an Uno. This one sits right in that middle, and it might be your fun. So this is Jason. If you're interested in more of my content, please check out my YouTube channel, Shelf Stories. Shelf Stories is the channel where I provide tips and tricks on how to be a happier gamer and a happier person through my Shelf Help series. It is a series of videos that I do regarding mental health. I talk about culture, I talk about history, the intersection of games and life, and I also have lots of conversation with designers, publishers, and gamers just like you. So this is Jason reminding you, if you could change your mind, you could change the world. So until next time, later, everybody.